The making of a miracle. God has been so gracious in my life. You can come to me and given us miracles, I could almost say by the truckload. To God be the glory. But I want to talk about one in particular and tell you a little about the background to it, what's not generally known. Let me take you back several years ago to Ireland, to Belfast. The Lord speaks to me, my heart, and tells me to go to America. No, it wasn't because I loved America or Disney World, and I did both, but it was because He spoke. And so we came here to America, and we opened the first ministry church there in Kissimmee, which is right beside Disney World. However, things were in turmoil in Ireland as people rose up, not only to destroy us, but one particular man wanted to take over the ministry. So he set about going around our donors and telling them not to give. I'd gone to America, don't give, even though the ministry was continuing. To cut a long story short, soon we needed $300,000. It got to the point where actually the law courts said you would have to have $300,000 or surrender all these properties to the bank. But I was in America. I went home, heard this news, came back to America. 30 days to go. What am I going to do? I do nothing. And when I have only 6 more days to go, listen to this. I get a call from T.L. Osborne, the famous missionary. He is living in Orlando, which is almost beside us. But why would he be living in Orlando? Their headquarters were in Tulsa. They told me the story of how, I believe it was Daisy, his wife, one day went driving. Didn't know where she was going, just drove and drove and drove and drove, and finally decided she wanted a house in Orlando. Later on, they moved back to Tulsa. It seemed no sense at all, but Osborne was right beside me, and I knew him very well previously. So I told him the story, not expecting anything from him, never crossed my mind, because he was a missionary needing money himself. With 6 days to go to get $300,000, Osborne called me. He said, Leslie, there's 6 days to go. I tell you what you should do. You should come with me to John Osteen's convention in Houston, Texas. I said, Brother T.L., I can't have 6 days to go. I have to get this money. Well, he said, I know, but there's 6 days only. You need some rest in your peace in your mind. So he said, please come with me. And I had been in John Osteen's before. In fact, I had preached in his conventions more than once. But on this occasion, I said no. Listen to what happened. As I was saying no, Maureen, my wife, walked in from another room and overheard that part of the conversation. She said to me, hold it. And I said, yes. She says, what's that about? I told her, T.L., I said, please hold on a second. And I told Maureen, she said, you're going to go. You're going. I said, tell T.L. you're going. So I said, okay. I went to Houston. Went there, and it's the last day. It's the last service. They have 5 services a day, 5 offerings a day. T.L. Osborne got up before he preached. I wasn't preaching. I was in the congregation. He got up to hold his books and to advertise them and tapes, and they began to fall. He was holding too many. He looked down into the audience. There was 5,000 people there and said, Leslie, come and help me. So I ran up to the platform and steadied the books and the tapes. And when he got through advertising, he then referred to me. This is my friend Leslie Hale, the Irish preacher from Belfast, Ireland. Pray for him. The devil's really attacking him over in Ireland. In fact, he said they need $300,000. And at that moment, a little girl came down the aisle, a little Hispanic girl, and not one usher stopped her until she got close to Osborne and me, and Osborne spoke up to her and said, what is it, little darling? What do you want? And she handed a check, and she said to him, that's for the Irish preacher. And Osborne was amazed. He looked down at John Osteen, who was sitting on the front row. And by the way, his son, Joel Osteen, he was in the control room. But he looked down there. He said to Osteen, I didn't mean to take an offering. And Osteen did this. put up his thumb as if to say, all's well. And so this little girl gave me a check. What if her daddy hadn't have been in the meeting? What if an usher had have stopped her? But then, when we're in that state, and this is all on tape, somebody from back here jumped up and yelled, "The Empire Strikes Back." This was the time that movie was out. "I'll give 1,000. And when that was said, I looked there in amazement. But I did notice at the back, a man in a yellow shirt got up and walked out. I noticed that probably because of the yellow shirt. And I didn't say anything, couldn't say anything, didn't know the man from Adam. And so the next thing was the congregation of 5,000 people rose to their feet and started coming down the aisles. And the people who were a little back, they started to throw money over the top of those in front of them and checks landing at my feet. The next thing was they counted them and come out and told us $30,000 in the offering. $30,000. Of course, it's a long way off, 300,000. At that moment, the man in the yellow shirt came back in. And he kind of did this. Osborne said, "Sir, do you want to say something?" "Yeah," he said, "I do." And I didn't know what was happening. There was no cell phones in those days. It's 35, maybe 36 years ago. Anyway, he said, "I went out into the lobby. I tried to get my bank manager and I got him." And he said, "Tell the Irish preacher he's got his whole $300,000. And Osborne looked at me and he said, "Wherever you're staying tonight, move out, move into his home." That man became a great friend of mine. He is now deceased. But that was a wonderful miracle, how God got Osborne to invite me, the little Hispanic girl, the man yelling $1,000, which triggered the whole offering. It was an amazing thing. And then this man in the yellow shirt, what if he hadn't have been there that night? And so we called our lawyers and told them, tell the bank we've got the money, we're flying home immediately and going to deliver the money. I don't know why God waits sometime until 2 minutes to 12 or 30 seconds to 12 midnight, but he does. But he always comes through. This is a little bit of the background of that miraculous $300,000 through several people: Osborne, Osteen, the little girl, her father, the man who shouted "The Empire Strikes Back," and the man in the yellow shirt. God put it all together to give me that $300,000. This is the way miracles work. See you next time.